What if a single tank could expose the hidden hand behind a major war? On a battered stretch of the Ukrainian front, Russian troops advanced toward what looked like just another burned-out wreck. Smoke still drifted over scorched earth. They expected to find evidence of a Ukrainian crew and the aftermath of brutal fighting. But inside this German-made Leopard tank, supposedly abandoned, there was no sign of Ukrainian soldiers. Instead, the crew had no identification, wore no standard uniforms, and carried unfamiliar high-grade equipment. Their faces and gear did not fit the expectations of frontline troops. They looked foreign, and nothing about their presence felt routine. The discovery sent shockwaves far beyond the battlefield. It was not just a matter of capturing advanced Western armor. It was the crew, a group whose backgrounds defied the official narratives. For the first time, there was tangible proof that the lines between military support and direct involvement had all but disappeared. Ignoring this event means risking the loss of critical insight into how wars escalate when the rules are quietly rewritten. If the truth is overlooked, governments could lose control, and the public could remain blind to a new kind of warfare already unfolding before our eyes. To understand how this single incident became an international turning point, let's look closer at exactly what happened on the ground, and what makes this tank so much more than a battlefield trophy. How did Western military pride become a Russian trophy? In the chaos of the front lines, a German Leopard tank, a machine praised across Europe as a game-changer, fell almost intact into Russian hands. These tanks symbolized not just Western support, but its technological edge and confidence that Ukraine could turn the tide of war. But on this day, hopes and hardware collided with reality. A tank group, racing to rescue damaged vehicles, was caught in a deadly trap. Guided by relentless drones, precise fire pinned them down until, one by one, they had no choice but to abandon their mission. As the smoke cleared, Russian troops approached the hulking Leopard, expecting explosives or sabotage. Instead, they found something even more valuable, a nearly untouched tank bristling with advanced Western equipment. Inside, the real surprise waited. The crew were not the battered Ukrainian soldiers everyone expected. No insignia, no Ukrainian flags, just immaculate uniforms, clean-shaven faces, and cutting-edge gear never before seen on Ukrainian forces. Whispers spread instantly. Who were these men? Speculation erupted. Were they foreign mercenaries, or something more? The truth would matter far beyond the battlefield. For the West, the reputation of their best military hardware and the entire strategy of indirect support now hung in the balance. For Ukraine, the morale of its troops and the credibility of its war narrative faced their severest test yet. But nothing compared to what happened next. During interrogation, one crew member shattered all remaining illusions, making clear, in word and bearing, that this capture was about much more than a lost tank. It was suddenly undeniable. NATO's presence on the front was no longer just a rumor. But how did these foreign specialists end up at the controls, and what secrets did their capture reveal? Let's dive into the unfolding details that shocked both governments and the global public. What secrets came out when the tank crew finally spoke? The answer sent shockwaves through capitals around the world. At first, Russian troops expected to find a regular Ukrainian crew. But as the soldiers pulled the men from the captured Leopard, the truth became undeniable. One spoke with a crisp Northern European accent. Another replied with a British manner so distinct it could not be missed. The third, silent at first, revealed through a single phrase that he was no Ukrainian. These were not just mercenaries or private contractors. All evidence pointed to something far more serious: professional military personnel from NATO countries, operating inside a German-made tank. The story gained substance as new details emerged. Among the tank's sophisticated equipment, investigators found Western military-grade communication devices, never before seen in any Ukrainian vehicle. This discovery was a bombshell, not just for social media and newsrooms, but for every diplomatic channel from London to Berlin. Western embassies scrambled to respond, but most chose silence or issued vague denials, hoping the story would fade. Yet for Moscow, This was more than a propaganda victory. It was a once-in-a-generation intelligence windfall. Engineers and military analysts now had access to the most advanced Western electronics and battlefield systems. With these, Russia could reverse engineer, adapt, and potentially counter the very technologies NATO had hoped to keep secret. Billions in research and years of technological advantage were now at risk. For the West, the stakes could not be higher. Denials became harder to sustain as the evidence mounted, forcing a reckoning over the blurred line between military aid and direct intervention. For Russia, the opportunity was unprecedented, a chance to level the technological playing field on the global stage. But this incident was not just about a single tank or a handful of foreign specialists. It was the spark that set off a chain reaction, threatening to redraw the rules of engagement far beyond Ukraine. The fallout from this battlefield encounter would ripple through military alliances and diplomatic circles alike, forcing both sides to confront dangerous new realities. When covert intervention turns overt, what lines are left to cross? The world watched in disbelief as the truth behind the captured Leopard tank began to emerge. Western governments faced an impossible choice: either admit direct involvement or risk shattering public trust by denying what was now obvious. For the first time, the line between providing military aid and fighting on the front lines blurred almost beyond recognition. Ukraine responded quickly, forced to adapt its battlefield tactics. Reports from the ground confirmed that Western-supplied tanks all but vanished from the front, their sudden absence a silent acknowledgement of what had been exposed. The risk of further embarrassment and escalation was simply too high. Independent journalists soon revealed an even deeper secret. The tank's crew likely included intelligence operatives, not just regular soldiers or foreign volunteers. These specialists, it appeared, were not only fighting, but also carrying out secret upgrades to the equipment right on the battlefield. If this is confirmed, it marks a historic shift. Foreign soldiers are now not just advising, but actively engaging in combat. For Russia, the implications were enormous. Their engineers gained access to a nearly intact, state-of-the-art Western tank, a rare prize. By dissecting its advanced electronics and communication systems, they acquired insights that could undermine billions of dollars in Western military investment and potentially compromise future battlefield strategies. The capture of this tank, almost undamaged and with its secrets largely intact, has the power to alter the military balance in the region. The shockwaves are still being felt, as allies reassess their commitments and adversaries sense new opportunities. In the end, this single event put global security at risk, raising the stakes for everyone. If escalation continues, intelligence leaks could cost vast sums and tip the scales in coming conflicts, far beyond the current war. But what does all this mean for the future? And how should ordinary people understand the hidden dangers of such escalation? What lessons does this captured tank really teach us about war, alliances, and the hidden boundaries of truth? This one incident shows just how quickly a support mission can slip into the chaos of direct conflict. The lines that once separated aid from intervention or training from combat are fading. Modern war does not respect neat borders. Escalation now happens in a flash, often before the world even notices. Every captured tank on the battlefield is not just a chunk of metal. It is a symbol, a message sent to allies and adversaries alike. It is also a treasure trove of secrets, from embedded technology to military protocols, and everyone tests the trust that binds alliances together. But beyond machines and strategies, there is a human lesson. The crew caught inside that tank did not expect to be found so quickly. In their faces, we see how unpredictable and fragile modern conflict truly is. No one, not even those most prepared, can fully anticipate how the smallest twist of fate can thrust them into the global spotlight. Now, the public watches these events unfold almost live. The world witnesses, in real time, just how easily a local battle can pull entire alliances closer to disaster. We see how quickly a covert role becomes an overt crisis. If we ignore these warnings, we risk letting history repeat itself, destabilizing partnerships, exposing billions in investments, and allowing hidden escalations to spiral out of control. So, how should leaders, and all of us, respond in a world where no secret stays buried for long? To answer that, we have to look at how this one event is changing the strategies and reactions of governments worldwide. If a single tank can change the war, what can expose the next secret? This moment was more than a battlefield accident. It shattered assumptions and exposed truths hidden behind official statements. With the capture of the Leopard tank and its unexpected crew, the line between support and participation has blurred beyond recognition. Now, every viewer's sense of safety, power, and truth is at stake. The world has seen how rapidly covert actions can become undeniable facts, and how a seemingly isolated incident can reshape alliances and redraw red lines. The secrets inside that vehicle are no longer just military blueprints. They are symbols of a deeper, riskier involvement. Who really decides what is revealed, and who pays the price for what remains hidden? As the next chapter of this conflict unfolds, the challenge is clear. Will new secrets be uncovered, or will new measures be taken to keep them buried? The answer could define trust, security, and the fabric of power for years to come.